let's get underway and see how it goes. Welcome back to another one of the Nomads, but this time not a free-for-all. This is a 4v4 between a bunch of the high-level pros, and I have brought in a guest caster. It's the one and only Missibs. How you doing, Missibs?
Good, thanks. Looks like interesting map setup. Small island in the middle. I don't know if that's gonna really accomplish much, but there's a sacred site there. That looks fun.
Yeah, so obviously these are mega random generation. You never really know what you're going to get. A lot of focus around the fishing, though, is typically what we can expect. But, ooh, hold on a second. Quite a few neighbors up here. We might have... so you were saying you got to pile on core usually in the chats, Missibs. I think core's about to get piled on in this game.
Oh, they're saying they can't hear me. I don't know what that's about. If
Oh,
I
you
gotta
guys
fix
can't
something
hear
or
him? 1 second. Let me fix that. Oopsie. I think I know what's causing that. Let me just go ahead. Yeah, so the goal here, folks, is we're looking to have a lot more guest casters in the future. Because I think it's good to kind of highlight other people in the community and also, you know, give people a shot. So 1 second. Let me see if that... where is it coming through? Speak now?
Speak now. Yeah, I'm still here.
Yep. There you go, guys. You should be able to hear that, right? I can see it
Oh yeah,
registering.
Discord's been disappointing like the last maybe month or so. Like it's been so solid doing its job, and
Oh, you're right.
now you get little things. Yeah.
Yeah, you still aren't coming up. Give me a second. What is causing that? It occasionally happens on my Discord, because like I have a 2PC setup, but it's usually not a problem. If I switch that over to speak now,
Yeah, I'm here. We got these
there we go.
neighbors building around the same wood line here. It looks cozy, I guess.
All right, there we go. You guys can hear him now. So welcome to the microphone, Missibs. Everyone is able to hear you now. So Missibs, interestingly enough, like he's been following the channel for a bit. I don't think you've done. Do you do some casting in your spare time?
No, I wanted to jump into one with you before, but we're in some different time zones, so it doesn't line up the best. Sometimes I'm supposed to be doing work.
Supposed to. Whoa.
Yeah.
But you, well, speaking of what you do around the community, like you create some of the maps as well, right? Like I think you create a few different ones.
I created a couple different ones. Yeah. There's a mega random version that I need to revisit. Someone mentioned that it's unlike this one, it always spawns with 4 sacred sites or something. So I don't know, but yeah, I tweaked a couple maps. Nothing too big, but I was diving back into that last night. I want to get some really polish up one of the maps and make it look cool.
Well, speaking of cool people, we've got plenty of cool familiar faces here, because you guys maybe notice them at the top of the screen. Pretty much all these players have been seen before. We've got Avali, we know that is, of course. David Kim is the one and only Puppy Paw. Wham's in here, so the bros together. Core BC, Kazva, Rack Attack is Recon, and Sassy rounding it out. SAS, who's been kind of getting a little bit of notoriety. I don't want to say he's the new doormat for BC, but he kind of is. They're regularly practicing together. Yeah. He's kind of taking Core's place, right?
Yeah, you could call them, punching bag or, sparring partner, whatever seems more accurate in the moment.
But definitely a player we're looking forward to seeing more of in the future. It's cool to see some representation in countries that have been limited. Like, so far, I think the only Turkish player we've had in any Age of Empires at a high level was Kazva. So be good to see if Sassy can kind of keep up with that. And he has got a great start to do so, right? Like, he's off on the side. No one's really going to hinder him. He might get into a little bit of contest with Beastie, though. However, considering he's just dropped his TC in the middle of a giant stealth forest, it might be difficult for Beastie to even discover him.
I believe we are in a 4v4, too. So,
oh, you're right. I'm an idiot. Sorry, let me check.
He's going to be fine with him over there.
You're right. I totally forgot. It's because I'm looking for the site. I have to keep this open. I'm so used to closing the player score, but good catch there. So we've got, let's check who's together. So it's Beastie, it's SES. And okay, wow, this is a funky split.
Yeah, Core, Avely, and the Canadians.
Damn, I really wanted Core to be eliminated straight away in that top corner. This makes a little bit more sense. So ignore my stupidity, folks.
Yeah.
We are, of course, in 4v4s. So, yeah, because I remember the way that this was drafted is they done a pick two, like pick one, pick two, pick two, pick two, pick one sort of thing. And poor Avali
Was
was
Cora
the...
captain there? Did he pick the Canadians together?
Yes. So I think the captains were Core, and I want to say it was SAS, I think. So Avali got left until last.
Yeah.
I remember him typing in the chat just like at school.
Yeah.
Poor guy. But it's,
Yeah. A few of us have been there.
it's interesting to kind of like think about the ramifications of this split, by the way. Like it could lead them weak if they get discovered very early on, being 2-2 like this. But if they're quick, they could actually just take Wham out in the early phase of the game here.
Yeah, absolutely. Wham. We'll see if he has to split out some villagers to kind of rebuild a new camp after some early pressure. But yeah, there's going to be some interesting battling going on. I don't know if they'll make a lot of use of the water, to attack Wham's position.
That's a fair point, actually, because like the way this is set up, they could even just do something as simple as palisade wall on the crossings. They don't even need to contest water. They just have a dominant amount of fishing up and down the map, right? So like, there is a lot of variance they have available to them. I think if there's an early ID of the split they've got on this left side, you could just see a world in which your HRE player and your Malian player rush up into Castle Age and then flood into Recon's base. I'm checking the civ choices. Did they random civs in this one? Does anyone know in the chat? Or was it?
I would suspect they did random, but who knows?
I mean, it's just like this. There's a nice kind of mixture here. They span the wheel. Okay, yeah. So it was random in the end. So I'm just looking at like the split here. We've got double Roos on the water side, which just kind of naturally gives Team 3 an edge that Team 2 might not want to contest.
Yeah, Team 2, they will be able to, if they want to, Puppy Paw can get out on the water and try to contest that. But yeah, it might not be a priority. There's so much space in the map. Like, the Team 2, all their bases are kind of like on the center line of the map, and they have like so much space towards the northeast side. They can expand out kind of endlessly.
Yeah, the other thing to consider is like whenever you go clustered like this, it's great from a turtling perspective, but you have to think about long-term resources, right? Like you've got double gold vein between them in this area, and then you have to stretch out quite far. That central area is going to be vital. I think that's probably why they parked Wham here, is they knew that long-term they needed access, and as we know with Mega Random, usually those resources spawn towards the center of the map.
Yeah, I guess the players are starting to age up. We might see a little bit of some hints on their plans.
So we've got the Council Hall as standard. Looks like it's going to be Mansa Quarry, which makes sense. I don't think there's any desire to trade here either. Like I'm looking at the map. Do you see the neutral trade posts? I don't. Is this it?
They're probably buried in the middle. There's one there. Yeah.
Like, wait.
It seemed like in Mega Random to get so much stuff clustered in the middle with all the sacred sites. They don't space it out very much, and yeah, maybe I don't even see any under there.
No, there's literally
Sometimes
just
they're
two
buried underneath everything else.
on the west side of the map. What? That's one of the weirdest spawns I think I've seen on Mega Random.
Yeah, that could definitely be an advantage for Team Sassy.
We'll have to see if Team Core can do something about it, because they're looking to get aggro here. So with that pushing we're talking about is going to start to commence, but if they focus around the dock area, this is going to be very beneficial, because Recon's really going to be threatened on this wood line. You can see how exposed his base is. Wait, did Pup...
Yeah. That's them fishing boats? No, who's this?
Oh Lord.
Oh no! Oh dear, that is that's a move that I'm sure some people are upset that they patched back in, but it's just too fun. Like you gotta have these boars.
One of the best things about the game, seeing Emlov's mom go crazy.
Yeah, look at this boar killing fishing boats. Like You can't get that in, you know, other games.
Well, like, how many can he get is my real thought here. His core, like, core still doesn't realize what's happening. Okay, finally.
Yeah, there he
Finally.
goes. Yeah,
Yeah, but now
now
he's
he's
just
gonna
going to
lose the
delete his
dock.
dock. Oh, man. Very interesting diet from Pumbaa here. A lot of fiber, you know? Good
Yeah, this
lord.
could be a lesson, right? Don't have your dock near a boar. That's you know,
Or,
doesn't come up a lot, but something
or,
to consider, I guess.
or hear me out. Palisade wall the boring. There you go.
Yeah.
Play a little bit of Zoo Tycoon. Give him his own enclosure. Well, the roof's starting to come into play as we expected, right? Kind of dominating up and down the river. The wall across aren't going to stop them either. I'm really wondering, like, what Avali's goal. I guess he just wanted to have a bit of fishing for his own, but usually you see a player do the cross as opposed to the down the river like this.
Right. Yeah. He's only blocking the ground path. The boats can just zip right through there.
It's his genius plan to keep him away from his teammates forever, right? You know, East and West will never reunify.
Yeah, that's it. That's maybe, you know, that's the escape hatch for when they gotta, you know, flee to their teammates.
Oh no, I'm saying they're going to stop these guys from getting anywhere. Like, sorry, like, oh yeah, I get what you mean now. Yeah, they can't get back together, but it's, I guess it's like, I don't know. I'm wondering if he thought that they were a little bit closer together in the center, maybe. I'm still wondering, like, what the grand plan is, like, their timing. Because the interesting thing is, like, when we talk about free-for-alls on this, it's kind of accepted you're probably going to be Imperial Age, right? Like, no one's really going to hinder each other. But in team games, quite often these 4v4s, we've seen kind of all-in feudal timings that just win the game.
Yeah, there is like a lot of risk with the early attacks. Like you can throw a lot of stuff at a guy, and you know, if you take out someone's town center early, you know, sometimes the other team still has a whole pile of town centers. So, you know, you're hurting one player a lot, but they might have a chance to recover, and you know, you've invested all these resources. You know, maybe that sets you behind, and everyone else booms ahead of your team. But yeah, we'll see. Like there is a lot of looks like some back and forth going here. Like lots of docks going down all over the place.
Yeah, I think it's the logic is that usually in you know, these kind of free-for-all situations, you sacrifice a lot of your ceiling, everyone gets ahead of you, and you don't have much to kill with early on. It's the same logic in a 1v1, right? It's why most HRE players will go for Castle Age as opposed to full-in Feudal, is it takes a lot of time to set up your production. But when you have, for example, in this situation, you can have 3 players worth pushing into 1. You could easily get 3 rams together and have enough archers to protect that, even halfway across the map.
Yeah, and like you just mentioned, there's Avely as HRE when he's in the Castle Age, and I don't know if we're going to see him start throwing out some Castle Age units to leverage that, or if he's just going to keep going. It's, you know, I know for a lot of players, HRE can be kind of a trap where you just want to keep booming. It's just so juicy.
I mean, you know what would be juicy is relics, but turns out Avali hasn't got many of them. There's one relic.
Yeah, there's a few we can get access to with his teammates' help, maybe, but yeah, the position for Wham in the middle there, and you know, of course, his Deli, he's gonna have a real good opportunity to grab a lot of those relics.
I like the way that that Wham kind of used this curve point, right? This intersection point in the river, just wall it off. He didn't do it on the other side, but he could have created a safe haven for himself. Saleh maybe a little bit too late for that, though, because Team 3 are coming in, pushing him from the east, and with demo ships here, it kind of feels natural that you're eventually going to lose full control. Demos. Ooh, that. Okay, so the fishing boats. Looks like it may be a little bit of premature detonation in the end. BC didn't feel like he'd get any closer, but still, like, you need to relieve him, right? I feel like they've just kind of, in a way, sold out Wham in this game.
Yeah, like, it doesn't look like they have any proxy production or anything like that to help them out. I don't see, like, a stream of units coming for him.
I just see a greedy Mother Ducker still failing to get his hands on his relics here. So the Knights are just going to start breaking in. And you start to wonder, would it have been worth walling, or would they have just been countered by a single transpo ship?
We are seeing more players coming into Castle Age now.
Let's say yes. Are we doing a... Yeah, so it is just going to be the King's Pass. I think you can easily, in like this type of format, even think about like a third TC and just boom up in the corner. Like, he's got a lot of resources here to play that late game. And like, when you think about the Civs matchups here, I quite like what Team 3 have for an Imperial Age type game, right? Ottomans with the passive reduction at a ridiculous level, English, and double Roost with the buffs they got. Like, I'd say they have more of a ceiling than Team 2 do in this one.
Yeah, or you think Roos will be stronger in the late game? I know Roos hasn't been considered very strong in the latest patch, but you know there is they always have their late game strengths.
Yeah, I think it's just like, if you think about the bombard upgrades, right, and the fact that they become giant sniper rifles against infantry, you're playing against two civs that probably want to be heavily into infantry in late game, right? The English and the HRE. I think that can be a pretty solid way to play that. The question mark is really whether they can just lock their opponents out of water, because I think that's the way that I can see the HRE kind of boom back in. So far, like, Avali has been allowed to exist on this bank on the north side. It feels like he's just slowly being pushed off, though. Whoops. Oh,
yeah, there could be some interesting compositions from Team 3 to deal with a lot of heavy infantry, right? Like the Ottomans as well, right? Some great bombards in the mix can help with that.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, they have all the cannoneers and the janissaries.
So, are you suggesting...
Not even the cannoneers.
The
Streltsies.
The Streltsy. But are you suggesting the team with BC on might just all build siege?
Well, you know, the Streltsy will chew up the man-at-arms quite well, right?
Yeah, but like you were saying, like, I heard you mention the Great Bombards. I'd already mentioned the upgraded Roost Bombards. Like, I think I know where we're going with this. It's not Team Sassy, this is Team CG.
Yeah, if he wants to go for the full CG cutie, he's got to get the big roller skates. Get some of those Roost wandering towns. I don't think they're actually that strong, but they're just maybe one of the most fun siege units. They just creep up and bang, 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 knock down whatever's in their way.
Don't sell them short here, all right? We're in a game where no one's playing Mongols, so Rams can't be ran away from. But you know what can't be ran away from? Greed of the HRE. Avali will be the first one up into Imperial Age here. I like the way that Puppy Paw's been kind of aggressing here, right? He's always been harassing this eco line, the fishing side with his archers. Now he's trying to turn the screws onto Recon at the very beginning of his Castle Age.
You can see only Puppy Paw is kind of left behind in the feudal age on his team, whereas on Beastie's team, Kasva and Recon are both hanging back to, I guess they're... I don't know if Recon's been raiding as well.
I think he was running maybe a few Sipahi around. Did he have a little bit of water presence maybe as well? Yeah, there's a little bit over here. So he's been skirmishing somewhat, but it does feel like he's maybe gone for a slower approach to this. Not bad for the Ottomans, mind you, right? Just keep getting those military schools up. The passive reduction kicks up as the game goes on.
Yeah, build up all that infrastructure.
It's been very quiet over here as well. So BC did end up going for 4 TCs on land, while also having fishing behind him. So a very greedy approach in this 4v4, but one that he's been completely unpunished for, considering how free his side of the map was.
Absolutely, and even just like, there's still like a whole quarter of the map next to Beastie that's untouched, full of resources, lots of open space.
A ridiculous amount of gold down here as well, by the way. Like, look at this, right? They're contesting the center. Like, all I can see long term is gold problems for the northern team.
Yeah, that river does seem to cut right through the gold line in the center. They've got some of the island there that'll be hard to control. And of course, they also don't have any neutral trading posts on their side.
No, that's being held hostage here on the left side. So maybe they just need to get access. They're trying to push through now. Recon finding this memo to Imperial Armory at risk. It's only just been built. In fact, I don't think he's had a single siege unit out of it yet. And, well, this timing attack, 3 players against the 2, it feels like they're going to be able to get through it.
Yeah, and there's a good lesson there from Puppy Paw showing, you know, he's still in fuel age, and he's taking down that landmark.
Yeah, just maxing out the torch damage, right? Plenty of spears in the mixer. Now also being joined in by Core, who's coming over the top of the Donzos. It's problematic, because now you just kind of look at the lay of the lands for Recon. He's got a lot of exposed eco on this backside. Everything's been condensed in this one area. It's not like he's got a second TC over on the side or some sort of proxy eco. Everything is in one location.
Yeah, he doesn't even have like a keep up to help with the defense. He's kind of put himself in a tough position. He's got all his infrastructure set up, but he didn't have the military or any other defenses to support it.
And I like the way
so hopefully his team will help.
Yeah, and they need to get hit quick, because right now it's 2v3. Now, of course, you have to remember Puppy Boy is still just feudal age, so really more like 2.5 versus 2. But on the flip side of it, Avali is pushing out elite knights. They can be quite problematic. So reset will come out for the time being. There's just too many archers up against the feudal army. But behind this, his teammates are taking full advantage of the situation. We saw the TC boom that's now starting to occur from Core. We're seeing more TCs added in by Wham, not to mention the keeps that have village fortresses. They're kind of setting themselves up for a later timing, but it is coming at the cost of throwing the English player under the bus.
Well, at least there's the English player. No one.
Yeah, he deserves it. Whoa.
Gotta be somebody.
Donzo's on the way. Cool. He might be able to turn this fight. Yeah, there's archers there, but that is a lot of Donzos. Good lord, it's a lot. He's going to push through there. Meanwhile, on the eastern front, we are seeing an advance from Beastie, looking to set up a keep right next to Wham's main base. With the assistance of Santa, this should be fine, because we have to remember what's happening here, right? On the flank, where it's coming a stalemate back and forth, it is 3 versus 2. In the center, this is now a 2v1 in favor of the southern team.
Yeah, this is an important position for them to take. I think, with all the sacred sites right there surrounding Wham, you definitely want to have, some keeps in place to contest that and make sure that's, he's not benefiting from that or pushing an early victory condition on you.
And speaking of keeps, Wham's going to try to get one up to hold in this area. It's a little bit too late though. It feels like it could be tight, but the backside villagers might be good enough. However, Beastie decides that keep, you know what? That's a perfect location for a castle. If you can't complete yours in time, don't worry, buddy. I'll do mine. And I'll do it fast. Villagers. I don't think he gets it. He's still not going to get it. Oh, no. That is a stinger. Because if that keep had gone up, that's boiling oil. That would have torched half the build force that Beastie brought forward.
Yeah, that's a really aggressive play by Beastie, and he's one of those guys that, more often than not, that works out for him.
Well, it's all about the confidence, right? The amount of villagers he brought in, the night follow-up as well, they're just understanding perfectly that this guy has been left on his own. They saw the assault on the left side, and they used that information to simply decide that this guy can't defend 2v1. And it's a great read. I mean, SAS also guarantees it with his comp of crossbow spears. There's no real unit that Wham could have built here to win this battle.
No, I don't like. Was were his villagers being raided before that? Because to be outnumbered in the villager build off in his base is, that's a bad time.
Yeah, there's been a bunch of clashes through this game, right? Kazva kept raiding in this area just north of the base. There was also a great migration. A bunch of villagers were pulled up here for the keep. Just feels like Wham, he had all of his attention on waterside, outnumbered still, and thus he never had a way of protecting against just a few knights, ruining his day, raiding for his eco as they've done throughout this game. My oh my. That reset fully. Beastie says, okay, I needed some time. I sat back and watched you whine, but now I am here to dine with you. He'll move in. He'll set up the keeps and the palisades. They'll begin to encapsulate. And the biggest problem now that I do see for the Northern team, we mentioned it earlier in the game, lack of long-term gold. The one player that was guarding it for them is now being taken out.
Yeah, that was, sometimes like some positions you worry about their importance too much on the map, but this was a really important area for them, and now that they've lost control of it, it's to say it's uphill from here is being gentle.
You'd have to be a Skyrim horse to get up this mountain, is the best way to describe it. It's quite the uphill battle. Well, I'm just thinking back to the fact that, you know, Poppy Paw has only recently just arrived in Castle Age, rather, right? So it's not your hyper powerful late game English you're used to seeing. Meanwhile, on the other side, you know, Sassy could easily just think about teching up at this rate. He's been non-stop pushing units, but I honestly think he's getting to a phase where he can just convert that into an eco advantage and then go Imperial Age for that late game.
Yeah, and with their position too, even if they don't back off their military too much, their military is because of the layout of the map, their military is giving them an eco advantage. Their military has allowed them to push them off the center and to control the block of land that has the trading posts on it.
Yeah, the best way to kind of think of this is like the way that they set up their base on the north side. This was clearly a condensed timing attack, but by the time they arrived in Recon's base, like maybe it was the worst player to find. Maybe they would have been happy if they found like the Roost player behind it. Finding the Altman player first is problematic because we've seen plenty of games in the past where an Altman player can essentially idle their entire economy and still fight back due to all that passive production.
Yeah, they did time it pretty nicely to get in, and they did bring down the armory before it produced its first siege, but that wasn't lasting damage. You know, he's recovered now. He's producing military again. He's got his landmark, you know, almost repaired.
Soon. But like that being the focus fire for them as well just slowed them down so much. Like they brought about, what, 20 torches to that? Wasn't the quickest burn down of a 5k structure. And we had this eco over the side that was completely ignored the whole time. Like looking back, you know, in hindsight, maybe they should have just raided straight into the eco, shut that down, flooded the knights through onto Kaz's base as well. That probably would have given them more of a foothold. Instead, they tried for this very slow siege on kind of the most irrelevant element of the base.
I'm not sure what was queued in there, but they could have been concerned that a Maganel was going to pop out and reduce their army rapidly.
Oh, I think the logic there is like you're going to have your spinning around, right? So when the mango comes out, you just burn it straight away, right? It's like, I understand the design, the tunnel vision, but it's also just such a high price that they paid by going for that. Now, we are going to see the keep line set up by Wham to try and hold what's left of his base, but problem is he's been beaten to the punchline, right? He's still age 3, BC's up in Imperial Age, these bombards are going to make short work of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Did Beastie, I assume he went up with the siege landmark?
I believe he went up for the Spasskaya Tower. Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Is that that positioning? Is he, you know, does he want to drop a wonder beside that? Maybe, you know, just kind of. I don't know what he gets out of the Spasskaya Tower.
Maybe he's been playing a lot of Pac-Man. Maybe he thinks he can walk off one side of the map and come on the other. It's probably more likely he just wanted to rush it up, and like it could be the one you talk about later, but I think maybe the logic here is we might need stone walls, right? We can just block them in entirely. Some of the Roost will get access to with that landmark.
Absolutely. And Beastie, I don't know what he had for an economy for gathering stone, but he was spending quite a bit. He drops keeps all over, and he's keeping them repaired. So yeah, he must have quite a quarry somewhere.
I think, yeah, there was plenty of stone around him. You can see the big stone outcropping as he was exhausting. Just all free eco, like we talked about earlier. No one's really been hindering him in that area. You know, Northern Team hasn't GG'd out yet. You have to start wondering like what the recovery point is in this game. They did just get Puppy Paw up into Imperial Age, so the English have reached the late game. But with 4 players in one corner that condensed, I can't help but feel that there is not enough space to sustain you.
Like nice walls coming out from Sassy there to kind of keep them wedged really deep in that top corner too. There's those walls along there, like, you know, it's not going to stop them, but you're gonna know when they try to move out.
That's the whole point, right? Like it forces them into a static comp more as well, because you need to get siege weapons to breach these. You can't rely on a cavalry comp that would maybe be more of a nuisance for a team that haven't really protected their economy, right? Like they're trading, they're spreading out, they've got villages exposed everywhere, but because you're playing infantry constantly, you have no way of exploiting that.
I don't know if we have a player in this game, you know, really creative enough, but you know, with all that space in that bottom corner, if that team from the top could sneak a boat and get some villagers down there and proxy something, that would have been entertaining.
Oh, got it. So we should check core for that one. If any player in this game is going to do that, it'd probably be core. The problem is you'd have to go row your little boat. Not so gently up this stream.
Yeah.
Like, what was that? 2 keeps that would block you on the way? Yeah, this is it would be a tall order.
Yeah. So sail down until you pass about 30 burned down docks, and then make a left. Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure you survive going past the castle on the crossing, and then make sure you survive the conversion of all the lodgers attacking you. So basically bring like 20 transport ships, but only have one of them with villagers in. There you go. Siege continues. Keep still holds for the moment, but the bombard count is getting somewhat worrisome. Remember, this is still just basically 2 players pushing this side. The other 2 have decided to participate later. I don't... Kazma, we need to talk about your eco units, bud. I know you want to trade, but you need to make space for them. Alright, let's try to Furycraft so a way that they can come back in. Because we talked about the potential to sneak the Salvin corner. Where's the weak point here? Like, you could try to go after Recon, but I think you stabilized enough and the keeps hold him. Maybe breaking that wall on the east side you talked about, and then rushing into SAS's economy might be the best move they have. Okay, scrap that.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because, you know, even if they found somewhere to attack, or even if they were able to kind of you know, pull BC's team towards them and get that defender's advantage and chew through a lot of units. I'm sure even if something like that was happening on, then, you know, BC would just turn around and drop a wonder. You know, I think that the eco on the other team is just going to be so far ahead. They're going to be able to just, you know, at some point drop a wonder and not look back.
Yeah, for the time being, they're not looking at wonders. They're just looking at outright murder, just investing everything, but still gaining ground for it is the important detail here.
Yeah, I think while there's still spots to drop keeps, you know, they're going to keep doing that.
Yeah, and now with no enemy keeps on the other side, it's going to be a lot more aggressive, right? You've got this one final one on the sacred site, but let's keep in mind the really big issue here is that if you lose that keep, all sacred sites can be locked in by Team Assassin.
Yeah, it's interesting that they've ignored it to a degree to just, you know, allow a little bit of income for land.
Yeah, I think it's like there was a worry. There's still this keep in the area, right? So like if you divert your attention there, you're not strong force in the main fight. So like once you secure this area, you can just turn around with like one bombard, take out any defenses, and Bob's your uncle. I just keep watching this choke point. This choke point is grim.
Yeah. Even just looking at the mini-map, it's getting grim because, you know, they had that limited space and it's becoming more and more limited for them to build out in the top corner.
They're kind of eating each other at this phase, right? Like it's someone has to delete buildings soon to make space for someone else is the feeling you get.
Yeah, that's it. Or they're going to have to waste resources opening up some walls to expand out. And, yeah.
Vicious TC's coming out here. Avali, he was trying to get the emergency repairs for the keep. But this is not something he can keep anymore. It's like the castle is going to be going down.
He's got gold villagers nearby. He could have almost pulled them down.
That's true, but right now he's in a gold race with his teammate, so wouldn't want to get less than your share of the gold, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
Now the sacred site's being locked in, I think this might be the point where you just accept the writings on the wall. Like, you haven't been able to gain any ground. In fact, with this condensed military force, even when you've been playing 2 versus 2 on the different flanks, they've been losing on both flanks.
I don't think we focused a lot on Kazva this game. I think
He wasn't doing
seems
much.
to have played pretty standard. Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing very Kazva-esque.
Yeah, no, like, everything against the wall. Like, he really took a slow approach. You see he was just ecoing up behind this. In fact, for a lot of this, the reason they didn't need to focus too much on the West is because it seemed Recon and Casva were just repairing the damage done. That's what makes this more impressive, the fact that SAS and Beastie were mainly just two-manning this assault on 4 players.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the balancing act we talked about early on. You know, if you have, they did a kind of a 2-and-2 split. Uh, one half of their team kind of absorbing an attack, and the other half was able to boom up and then push right through Wham.
A decoloring occurs. They finally realize it. GG is going to get called. As you said, a good balancing act coming out from the Southern team, able to accept who had to be the bottom and who could be the boomer. Brings them out ahead. It's an interesting clash of ideologies, right? Like, you had this condensed idea from the Northern team, but in a lot of ways, it just kind of felt like Wham got left too long on his own. And I don't really feel like they were ever getting anything for this. Like, maybe this game would have been different if the relic spawns had been more desirable, so Avali would have had a stronger castle age timing. But even then, it kind of feels like your approach in the way they approach that base, right, Lombos plus Knights primarily, you just don't have a way of killing Recon to ensure that 3v4 situation. An interesting game nonetheless. Shout out from everyone for Missibs for getting on the mic and coming in for a cast. It was a pleasure. If you aren't familiar with Missibs, they actually create maps, is one of the big things I think they'll be known for around the community. I don't think you do any streaming or anything, do you?
No, I hop around some streams and talk trash in the chats, but yeah, that's that's a good day's work.
So keep an eye out for your resident trash talker, and maybe follow him. Who knows? Maybe one day he'll stream as well.